Is it December already? So many books to read. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a December TBR. This is notable because I haven't done a TBR video for a few months. I had been more kind of just mood reading, and that had been nice. I got through a lot of different books, and actually had a pretty good time for the most part. September was a slow month, but October I did pretty good, although not with stuff I had thought about reading. And then November was pretty good. I'll talk about that. My wrap-up should be coming next week, so I'll talk about everything I read in November as well. But I wanted to do a TBR because I realized it's the year is ending, and there are a lot of things I wanted to have read by the end of the year. So I don't know that I'm going to get through all of this, but I am certainly trying. And so we will have to see what I can get through. But with no further ado, let's talk about the books that I'd like to read in December. So the first thing is I have been wanting to finish Crown of Stars for quite some time. I had put Crown of Stars on the back burner a little bit because I was reading really big Robin Hobb books one a month. And so it was kind of hard to do that and then also read another big, slower book as well with Crown of Stars, which is a series of 7. I'm currently reading The Gathering Storm, which is book 5, and it's the longest in the series. But the last two after that are In the Ruins and Crown of Stars, title. These are both a little bit shorter for this series, and so I'm actually hoping that maybe there'll be a chance, but considering I'm already reading one, getting through the other two may not happen, but I really want to, because I've been wanting to finish the series for a long time. I really am enjoying the series, and so I'm hoping I can get through these. I've talked about this a lot. If you've seen enough of my videos, you probably heard me talk about Crown of Stars, but man, book 4 was excellent. Book 5 is really, really good so far. There's just so much coming together, and so I'm hoping I can get through those as well. So that's kind of that part. I also have, which I meant to read sooner but haven't got to yet, Spine of the Dragon. This was my second booktube spin pick. The first one was Mordu, which was kind of eh. This one I also included when I did my reading the first chapter in books to decide what I wanted to read next. And the first chapter definitely didn't pull me in that much, but I have heard really good things about this book and its sequel, which I also have, so I'm really hoping that I like this as I get in. And just the premise of it I found really, really interesting. So this I do need to read, and I will absolutely be reading this month because of the fact that I need to get into it. So next up then we have the other things we'll definitely be reading for buddy reads. The first is book 2 of the Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. Spine of the Dragons, Kevin J. Anderson, and Crown of Stars is Kate Elliott, since I didn't say those, I don't think. But book 2, A Betrayal in Winter, book 2 in Long Price Quartet, because I'm involved in a buddy read for this series, so I'll definitely be reading that. It did not take me that long to get through the first one. This is, like, the whole book's like 1,000 pages, but it's a quartet, so, you know, the first one was 238. I don't think the second one's going to take me very long, so that's good news for this one with the buddy read. I really, really enjoyed the first book. I don't know yet if I'm going to do a dedicated review, just since there is going to be a live show where we'll talk about it, and I'll update too once the live shows are scheduled. I think we do have the first one scheduled, but I'll probably talk about it in my wrap-up, because I can't remember when it is right now. But Andrew's Wizardly Reads is hosting that one. I'm going to be hosting the second one, and then I'm not sure what's going to be done for 3 and 4, but we're a ways before we get there. But so that will definitely be reading this month. And then jumping back into the Robin Hobb buddy read, like I said, which is why I meant to read more Crown of Stars during the months we weren't doing it. But we're jumping back into the Robin Hobb buddy read with the Rain Wild Chronicles, which starts with Dragon Keeper. Now, thankfully, these are actually real short in comparison for Robin Hobb books, so I don't think this will take me too terribly long, but man, I'm excited to get back into the realm of the Elderlings. We took a break after finishing the Tawny Man trilogy and decided we'd start back up in December with our group, and I think everybody's sticking around for the most part too. We had some changes kind of throughout, but so we'll be back at this, probably once again doing live shows again, and I'm not sure where all those will be too, but we'll get that figured out. But I'm so excited to get back. I've heard the Rain Wilds Chronicles are a little, definitely like the weaker ones. Some of them are YA, I guess, and it was trying to do it kind of differently. I think the publisher pushing for something a little bit more accessible. But despite the fact that I've heard they're not as good, they're still Hobb books, so I don't think they're going to be bad. And I've heard that you get a ton of answers about the Elderlings in this series, which makes it 110% worth it for me, I think. So I'm really, really excited to get to those. because there's 4 of those, and then the last trilogy, which I really, really can't wait for either. So I'm excited for that as well. Otherwise, I'm also going to be reading or trying to continue with the Nightmareland Chronicles. Originally, I wanted to finish the books that are out prior to the end of the year, because the new one is coming January 10th, I think, is when that one comes out. I actually just joined into, I found there's a group that's doing like bi-weekly streams, including the author, so I'm jumping in there. And sounds like a lot. I'll be getting an arc of the new one too, which I had no idea on. So I'm really excited. I might read more at the pace of what they're going at instead of just binging the last 2. The Flashlighters and City of Blood are the last 2 that are out currently. But I'm really excited to get to those also. Because I've just really been enjoying the series, and I can't wait to talk with other people as we're reading the books and talk to Daniel Barnett. I've had very minor interactions from him with comments, and he seems like an awesome guy, so I'm really excited for that as well. Then we have the e-arc from NetGalley I have that I've been putting off for quite some time, which is the Tempest of Bravor. And this is a trilogy. So these books actually already are out, but they're releasing, like, I think a fancy box set that's coming out in January. And so it was one that after I got it and realized it was the whole trilogy. I think the whole trilogy is around like 900 pages. Granted, I'll be doing it on Kindle, so it'll be different. But this one sounded really interesting, and the very little bit I did a little preview of it sounded really good. So I've been meaning to get to it, and I do need to have that read and review out in time for the release date of that box one, because that's just how I do e-arcs. Granted, I don't think I necessarily have to, but that's what I want to do, darn it. That's how I do my e-arcs, try to do this, so... which is actually a review coming up really soon for one of the other ones I did. So I also plan to get to that. The nice thing is, so between Nightmareland and that on the Kindle, I found I really do like alternating, like reading on my Kindle at night and then reading physical books during the day. And I don't know if it's in my head or not, but I feel like I actually read faster that way somehow. So I'm hoping that will help to get through, because I've got some long stuff in that as well, and so there's kind of a lot there. Now, those are all the things that I really, really want to get to. I am leaving myself a little bit of room to do some other random shorter stuff if I want to. So these, there's no guarantee I'll get to or that I'll even try to get to. But I grabbed some short books as well, including Men at Arms, which is the next book in Discworld that I have been at for a while because I just have not gotten to it because I've been reading so many other things. I usually use Discworld as a palate cleanser, and I've been reading a ton. But what I did basically for the whole month of November, which I'll talk about, is I was reading 2 Green Angel Tower, which is huge. And so I'd take a break during the different parts and read other stuff, so I just still haven't gotten to it. Then we have Swords Against Death by Fritz Lieber. I got this and another one, its name I can't remember, Swords and Deviltry. And I read the first chapter of Swords and Deviltry, and I wasn't really feeling it, but I have been told you're supposed to start with Swords Against Death, even though it's the second book, because it introduces the characters more, and then you can appreciate the first book more if you do it that way. This is also pretty short, so I feel like I could get to. And then I threw in Never Die by Rob J. Hayes, because this is a rather short book. I got the first 2 of these on a sale, and this is pretty short, and I've heard really good things about this, so I figured this is the other short book that's in contention. Since I'm going back to a TBR, if I decide I want to read a short book or do a palate cleanser, it will be one of those 3. And I'm not going to read anything that I have not talked about this month because I just simply don't have the time. I don't think it's likely I'll get through everything that I plan to, even without doing that. So that's kind of where I'm sitting with these books. So those are the books I'm definitely going to read, the books I want to read, and the books that, if there's time, I will read. So I'll have to see how I do. I have been really doing well with reading lately, as I'll talk about with my wrap-up and getting through stuff, but that's a lot of stuff. So I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to happen. We will definitely have to see. But we'll go from there. And so, like I said, watch out for my wrap-up next week to talk about everything that I did read in November. Let me know that if you've read any of the things I talked about. I think with, besides maybe Long Price Quartet, I know more people are reading that, and then Spine of the Dragon. A lot of these are probably not ones that have been read as much, but let me know your thoughts on any of these, or let me know, too, what you're reading for December. If, like me, you're panicking because you've realized that you had a ton of things you wanted to read. I had so many more things I wanted to read by the end of the year. I might make a video about that. Like, books I'm definitely not going to get to this year. But I mean, you know how it goes. Being on BookTube, especially being in Discord, I'm constantly hearing about new books, adding new books to my TBR, and switching up, doing different things here and there. So I'm always reading. That's really what matters. I try not to put too much pressure on, like, I didn't read all these things I wanted to read, because, granted, I do review books on YouTube. I read for enjoyment. I read because I really, really like to, and so I try not to go too crazy. And that's where I let myself off with not having a TBR for the last few months. Of course, though, that did mean I didn't get to a lot of things I wanted to, but I didn't want to like burn out trying to force too much in. So maybe I'll do a video with like all the books I wanted to get to. But I think when I did my like mid-year kind of check-in, I think I actually had done pretty decent. And I also know for a fact Crown of Stars was on that list. So if I finish those, that will help. There's more that was on there too, but I did read a lot of the books. At the beginning of the year, I made kind of a loose list of books I wanted to get to, and I think I got through actually a fair chunk of them, because they were ones I was giving a little bit more priority to. So, but things like Realm of the Elderlings definitely slowed me down, among just lots of other random things that I've read throughout the year too. But I started reading. I get books and I read them very quickly, and so that didn't help the TBR situation either. That is the outlook for December. Like I said, let me know your thoughts, what you're going to be reading, and your thoughts on any of these books I've talked about. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. I think I forgot how to talk for a minute there. Check the link in the description for the Wizardly Do a Discord, where we can communicate via text chat, so that even if I lose the ability to talk completely, you'll still be able to chat with me. It's a lot of fun there, and we'd love to have you if you'd like to join. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.